Hi, welcome back to Knitting by the Bay. My name is Christy, and this is my making podcast where I talk mostly about knitting, but sometimes other fun crafts that I might be into at the moment. How was everybody's holiday and New Year's? I hope everybody had a really relaxing time. We ended up having my mother and sister-in-law over for Christmas Eve dinner, and my husband decided to cook because, well, he's a really good cook. He really enjoys cooking too. And just recently he's decided to learn how to make his own pasta. So he decided that he was going to make 2 giant lasagnas. My sister-in-law is vegetarian, so he did a vegetarian one and then a meat one for everybody else. And yeah, it was absolutely delicious. I made a few like squares. I did some baking, but not as much as I've done in previous years, but this year I decided to make some Nanaimo bars. I made some brownies and another new recipe that I just tried they're called the Dream Slice. And they have like coconut and nuts and maraschino cherries. And then like they have a shortbread crust and then like a icing on top. And they were really good. So I probably would make those ones again. They were just in a cookbook that I own, and yeah, I've been meaning to try that recipe. So they worked out pretty good. I like them. And then because my husband's been really into making pasta, I decided to get him a cookbook for his Christmas present. So I picked up this one, which is just called Pasta, and it's by Missy Robbins, the chef. And I think, I could be wrong, but I think that I read that she was a winner or a contestant on Top Chef, which he really likes watching. So I really liked how this book is very simple looking, and I thought that he would really like it. He doesn't really like cookbooks. He kind of likes to do his own thing, but he has really been looking through this one a lot. Like you can see, he's already marked off some pages. So yeah, he's got some recipes that he wants to make. This is spaghetti carbonara, and another one he's marked off pappardelle with porcini and veal bolognese. But anyway, it's a really beautiful book for a cookbook, and it has everything in it, all about pasta. Like, it's a huge book, all about pasta, all about making your own doughs. He's interested in making this one, which is an egg dough, and it's crazy because, yeah, there's 24 egg yolks in this pasta, which is crazy. So he hasn't made it yet because we're still trying to decide what to do with the 24 egg whites that we're going to have left over. So I have to kind of come up with some sort of recipe to use those. But anyway, he's really like this. I also got him a, what do you call it? Ravioli maker type thing, and a thing that makes dumplings, and then a thing to make gnocchi. I don't know how to say that properly. But anyway, I like these boards that you use to roll the gnocchi on. So yeah, that was a successful present. I think he's going to get a lot of use out of it. He's already made another one of the recipes in there. I can't remember what it was, but it was really good. It turned out really well. So yeah, so that was our Christmas. A lot of baking, eating, and yeah, hanging out with friends. We went to friends and family. We went to my mom's and stepdad's for Christmas Day, and my mom made a beautiful turkey dinner. My sister, brother-in-law, my nephews were all there, so it was a lot of fun. It was really nice. And yeah, we've also gotten a ton of snow here. We got a lot at the beginning of December. It was crazy. And then it warmed up and rained for about a week, and most of it melted. And then this past week we've had a lot of snow again. So the piles of snow at the end of our driveway are seriously almost 5 feet tall. It's crazy. When we're shoveling or snow blowing the driveway, there's nowhere to put all the snow because it's just these huge piles. But we are in the snow belt in Ontario, so it's, this is what we should expect. Last year we didn't get very much snow at all. And so this year it's more what it should be like. So I love it. I love snow. My son loves the winter as well. We went tobogganing on the weekend with him and his friends, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I really, if it's going to be cold, I want to have snow as well. So yeah, we've definitely had that this year. It's been great. Today I have my two dogs that they're lying here. Oh, there you can see that's Bandit, and then Charlie is lying over on the other side. And I'm gonna see how well they do, because a lot of the time I sit by my window here in the kitchen and people walk by outside and it just drives them crazy. They love to sit here and just look out the window, and then they start barking at everybody. And we call it their like TV because it's like a huge screen. And if we open the blinds, we say, okay, it's TV time. You can watch people outside. And then, it's about 5 minutes and then they're just going crazy barking. So TV time is over, and then we put the blinds down. So we'll see if they do a good job. They seem kind of sleepy right now. So hopefully Bandit will just nap in the background there. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, so another thing I wanted to talk about is New Year's resolutions. I don't know if any of you guys are do New Year's resolutions or, are doing them this year, but I'm going to start doing or continue actually with my one of the things that I've been trying to work on at the end of last year. So I'm going to continue doing that. And it's a very boring one, but it's flossing my teeth. So I'm going to continue with flossing my teeth every night before I go to bed. Like after I brush my teeth, floss my teeth, floss them, and then, continue that every night. And then I've also started to get back into lifting weights again. So I go through these times where I'm really into exercising and stuff, and then other times when I don't, which is totally fine. But right now I'm excited to get back into it again. So I ended up getting myself a like weight training sort of thing. I don't know what it's called exactly, like a stack gym where you have like the weights on the back and then you can change the different weights, and it has like the pull down bars and things you can do with your legs and all these different exercises. And then I picked up a couple of these posters for the walls. I've got it set up downstairs in my basement. So they're just different posters of different exercises that you can do with the machine. So that's a lot of fun. I'm really excited. I'm super pumped to get back into that and get back into running, because I was really doing great at the beginning of last year up until about the spring, and then I just kind of let it go. I sort of hurt my back with running, and then I just like completely quit, which was kind of dumb, but whatever, not a big deal. So now I'm excited to get back into that again. And yeah, I guess as far as knitting New Year's resolutions, I am still going to continue to try and figure out what knits I like for my body type and stuff. More looking for more wearable knitting patterns to make sure that I get a lot of use out of my projects, because I don't always wear the things that I knit, and I'm still trying to figure that out, what sort of shapes, what sort of colors and all of that I'm going to actually reach for to wear. So that's another one of my goals. As well, I want to continue reading as much as I can. Last year, I have an account on Goodreads, so I track all of my books, and I do every year they do a challenge, like reading challenge, and you can select how many books that you want to read. And so last year I set a goal of 48 books, and I did not reach it. Again, I always set the goal of 48, 50 books, and I haven't reached it yet. But that doesn't really matter. I did read 30 books, which I think is pretty awesome, because before, when I wasn't setting these goals, I would read like 10 books a year, which is fine too. Who cares? But now I've got the goal, and I'm trying to read a lot more, and it's fun to see how close you can get to your goal. So yeah, I read 30 books this year. So At the end of the episode, I wanted to just share with you some of my favorite reads from the past year. But if you're not into that, I'm just going to save that until the end of the episode in case, that's not your thing. And so today's episode, I just wanted to share with you some of my finished projects, as well as some of my works in progress and a couple, I think 2 future projects that I am thinking about right now. All right, so let's begin with my finished objects. The first object that I finished, I don't have because it was a gift. And actually, I made 2 of the same thing. There's Charlie. I made 2 of the same thing for 2 different people, and I've gifted them, so I don't have them. But I will put up a picture of what they turned out like. Actually, the first one I gifted and forgot to take a picture of. So I only have a picture of the second one, but I mean, they're the same. They're just different colors. So the first finished object is called the Alma, and this is a pattern by Maja Åkerström. And I knit these mittens in. I'll put a picture of what the pattern looks like. But I knit mine in Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn, and this is a DK weight yarn. And I knit them on US 2.5, US 2.5 or 3mm needles. And this pattern comes in only one size. So I was actually knitfluenced by Florence Miller of Handmade by Florence to make these mittens, because on one of her previous podcasts, just recently actually, she was talking about how she's made many of these mittens before as gifts. I think she made some for herself, and she was talking about how quickly they knit up. So I decided, like, very last minute, like a week before Christmas, that I was going to make some for my son's teacher. And so I picked up some yarn and I made them. And I mean, Florence Miller was saying on her podcast that she got 1 mitten done in 1 night's worth of knitting. That wasn't me. I think it probably took me about 2 days to get 1 mitten done. Not a big deal. Like, I was able to get it done in a few days, and then I gifted those to her before my son, on my son's last day of school. And then I decided I still had some more time, so I decided to make a pair for my sister-in-law. So I knit those 2, and I'll show you what they turned out like. And I used, like I said, Peer Gynt by Sandnes Garn, and my sisters were in the color 2650 and the color 8082, which is sort of like a foresty green color. And then my son's teacher, I knit in the same 2650, which is like a Grey-Beige color, and then 1088, which is, I think, called Coal Heather, or it's like a charcoal gray color. And I love how they turned out. So I'll show you a picture of how I wrapped them. I made like little gift tags for them to tell them the washing instructions. Because this yarn you have to hand wash and dry flat and whatever. So I put a little gift tag on it and wrap them up in a little box. And so this pattern, I checked out the pattern on the Ravelry pattern page to see what needle size I needed, and there were 2 sizes listed there. And so I went out and I bought the needles because I didn't have the sizes, and I bought both different sizes. And then when I downloaded the pattern, it seemed like it was saying, if you use this type of yarn, you're going to use this size needle, and if you use this type of yarn, which I didn't realize. So I ended up buying an extra set of needles that I didn't need. But that's okay. I'm sure I'll use them for something else. But I ended up using double pointed needles. Like, normally when I knit a small circumference in the round, I do magic loop. But Florence Miller was saying how she likes to knit hers with double pointed needles. And I've also seen on those Twins Who Knit podcasts that they like to do that for sock knitting. So I thought, I'm going to pick up a set of DPNs and try it out. And I loved it. It worked really well. Sometimes when I do magic loop, I get sort of a weird ridge where you're, going to use the other needle. I'll get like a weird ridge going up the side. So with the double pointed needles, I didn't get that. But one thing that I have to make sure I do, is buy wooden double pointed needles, because I have purchased the metal ones before and I really don't like that because I find they're way too slippery. Maybe I'm a little bit more of a looser knitter. I don't really think I'm that loose of a knitter, but when I'm knitting with the metal needles, the stitches just slip off and it drives me absolutely crazy. So if I use the wooden needles, they're just sticky enough that they hold all the stitches on, which was great. And I really enjoyed using them. So I might try doing some socks with some double pointed needles next. But yeah, anyways, I really think they turned out great. I don't think that the pattern is very clear, to be honest. I think that if you are somebody who is new to knitting, like a beginner knitter or new to knitting mittens, maybe it's not the best pattern to start with. There's a few things that I think are maybe lost in translation in the pattern, or maybe the designer thinks that you should know these things already. And if you're a more experienced knitter, then you definitely do. But for me, there were a few different things on it that I think that she left out, and you had to sort of figure that out on your own. Wasn't a big deal. Once I got going with it, then it was super easy to understand. Sorry about that. I had to stop the video because I had a telephone meeting that I completely forgot about. So anyway, I had to go and do that. But anyways, I was talking about the Alma mittens and how I had made a mistake on them when I was working the thumb. And for some reason, I read the chart wrong and I put the decreases together, which was silly because it made the shape like curve on the one side but be straight on the other side. So it ended up looking like this big like whale's like fin or something. So I looked at the pattern page on Ravelry and nobody else's looked like that. So I was kind of like, you're doing something wrong here. So I reread it and I thought about it and I was like, oh, of course, you're not supposed to be doing it together. You're supposed to spread them out. So anyway, I redid it and it turned out the way it was supposed to. So that's good. And yeah, I really enjoy this pattern because I had to knit 4 of them, the exact same pretty much. And I didn't get bored of it at all. I really enjoyed it. I would like to knit another pair for myself. I just am trying to think about what colors to do them in. So yeah, you can hold on to this pattern if you liked it, and maybe for the next gift knitting season, you can make a pair of these. Or, for me, where I am, winter has just started, so I've got a lot of time to, make use of this pattern. Okay, so that is my first finished object. My second finished object is the one that I'm wearing, and this is the Lumme sweater or pullover, I can't remember, by Sari Nordlund. And I knit mine in Bluesky fibers, Woolstok worsted in the colors Driftwood and Lilac blue. And this is a worsted weight sweater that's knit on US 7 for the body and the sleeves and US 8 for the color work. That is what she suggests in the pattern. I think because some people have problems with their tension when doing color work and might knit it a little bit tighter. So if you go up in needle size, you won't have the bunching. But I don't really have that kind of problem, I don't think, with color work. I think my tension is okay. So it just sort of like was a little bit annoying to have to switch back and forth with those needles. Not a big deal, but I think if I were to do that again, or the next time I knit color work, I won't go up in needle size. I knit the size 3, which I think is a medium, and this is a basic color work yoke sweater knit from the top down and starting with the collar. And in her pattern, she has you do a double folded collar, but I don't necessarily like that look a lot of the time, so I just decided to do just a few rows of the regular 1x1 rib and then just get started on the yoke. And I decided to change up the color work on this sweater. If you know what this pattern looks like already, you'll notice that mine is a little bit different. And so what I decided to do was, I will put a picture actually of what the original pattern looks like. And there is a motif down here, and I decided I didn't want that one. So what I did was I didn't do that. I just did this same vine and just switched around to do it in the other direction. So if you do it like Sari's pattern, the color work comes down to right at the underarm here. And I didn't really want that look. I wanted to have a little bit of space in between the color work and the underarm. So that's what I did. And to be honest with you, I didn't love that motif that is in her pattern. And because I feel like this sweater is very like nature inspired with the flowers and the vines and everything. And then that part of it was a geometric sort of motif. And I didn't think it really flowed with the rest of the color work chart. And I also decided that I just wanted to have just the vine here. In her pattern, she has, I think, maybe 2 vines and also a flower motif. And I decided I just wanted a little bit of color work on the cuffs. I didn't want it to come, like I think it comes up to here or something when you do the full charts. So yeah, I just wanted a vine just on the bottom there. And I'm happy with how it turned out. I also did a different rate of decreases for the sleeves because I wanted a more slimmer fit up here at the top. Hers is a little bit more baggy, and I like to have my sleeves a bit more fitted. So yeah, I just did a different rate of decreases to get down to the same amount of stitches that she has in the pattern, but I just did it at a different rate. And I'm happy with that. And then, I'll stand up and show you. I made it a little bit cropped again. And I think this is sort of what I like with a color work yoke, to have it a bit cropped for some reason. I just like the look of that. And I also forgot at the bottom here to go back to my ribbing needle, like to size down for the ribbing. So I think the ribbing could have been a little bit neater if I had remembered to do that, but then I wasn't going to like frog that and redo it. I didn't really care that much. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. I really like this yarn for the fact that it's super soft. I love this color, this muted it's sort of like purpley pinkish sort of. And yeah, I think that I like this shade a lot. It is pilling a little bit already, and I've probably worn it maybe 3 times now. And yeah, I don't know if that's because it's so soft or what it is, but it's not really a big deal. I can just use the fabric shaver thing to get rid of that. But yeah, as far as like, I'm not wearing a shirt underneath this, and it's super soft. I think it's very comfortable. So yeah, I think I'm very happy with the end result. I think this pattern is very well written, very easy to understand, and it has like both interesting color work and then very simple stockinette. And then, you have some color work on the sleeves as well, which mixes it up a little bit. And so that was a lot of fun. So yeah, it definitely was a pleasure to knit this sweater. Okay, so now let's talk about my works in progress. The first one is my Radmere sweater. This is a pattern by Michele Wang, and I'm using Cascades 220 in the color 8400 charcoal gray. And this one is knit using US 8 or 5mm needles. This is a gorgeous cabled cardigan with a shawl collar, and I'm knitting this one as a belated Christmas present for my husband. So I'll show you what I have. Last night I just cast off the back. So I should say this cardigan is knit bottom up in pieces, and then you seam it together and you pick up the neck and the button bands and to knit the shawl collar. So yeah, last night I just cast off the back. So here it is. And yeah, I'm really enjoying this pattern so far. So let's see. I've learned one new thing from doing this, and that is the sloped bind off. So when you are binding off stitches for, like, this is for the underarm, and then you also bind off stitches for the shoulders here. So it's slightly sloped here, and then I think it's easier to see here. So when you're binding off your stitches to create the underarm, you bind off like regular, however many it says, knit across, and then when you get to this side, you don't knit the last stitch. And then you turn your work and you work back the other way. So what you do, you have one stitch on the needle still, you slip one stitch and slip the other one over it. And then you continue to bind off just like regular for the rest of the stitches, etc., and then to the end and do the same thing again. So what happens is, because if you were just to bind off those stitches without doing that little trick, you would end up getting these steps like that. And it looks a little bit wonky. But when you do this, you have a very smooth, like sloped curve here. And that makes it easier when you are seaming it together, inserting your sleeves and everything like that. It just makes it a lot neater and easier to do. So that was cool and super easy, not a big deal, you know, slip a stitch over. Yeah, so that's one thing that I learned. I did not do a proper swatch for this sweater, and I'm trying to think back if I even did one at all, which I don't even think that I did. I know that's bad, but that's what happens sometimes. But I've been holding it up to, like, against my husband to see if it's gonna fit, and it looks like pretty, like, spot on right now. So hopefully once I've got it all seamed together, it will be the right fit for him. I think so. And yeah, so that's about it for that. I'm really trying hard to only knit on this one right now. I said to myself, like, when I cast off or bind off the Lumme sweater, that I'm only going to work on this one. And then of course I went ahead and like knit a couple pairs of mittens in between. So I didn't get a ton of work done on it. We also had some people visiting, and then I mentioned in my last podcast that my mother-in-law just moved here. So we've been helping her to like set up things with her new home and everything. So I haven't had a ton of time just to like focus on this, because this really takes a lot of my attention to do. So yeah, I haven't been able to really like concentrate on it. But I actually went ahead and purchased some more yarn for my next project, for another project, which is actually another cable sweater. And I just like decided I can't do two different cabled sweaters at the same time. Like, that's silly. And I realized that I really need something like a basic stockinette stitch sweater to work on when I can't concentrate on this, if like we're in the car or something like that. I like to knit when we go to the movies, and yeah, I don't have anything at the moment. And there was a movie that we just wanted to go and see, and I was kind of like, I don't have any knitting to do in there, so I don't want to go. So we didn't end up going. So I definitely need a basic sort of project to work on. So I've got something in mind. So yeah, let's go into talking about some of my future casts on. So the first one, which I bought the yarn for already, and it's a cable sweater, is the, here is the Moby by Petite knit. And I've wanted to knit this one for a while, and I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I decided now I really want to do it, because I really liked the Sandnes Garn Peer Gynt that I used for the mittens. So I decided I wanted to do Moby in it. And I ended up getting the same color that I used on the mittens, which is, I think, 2650. And it's, yeah, this gray-beige sort of heathered color. And this sweater is knit using US 6 or 4mm needles, and I've decided to knit the size medium, and I think that might be size, well, I'm not sure actually, I think it's size medium. I've read that some people have said that this sweater actually fits smaller than what it says in the pattern. And so I decided I'm going to knit my regular size that I normally knit, but because she's supposed to have like there's more ease in this sweater. I think because people are saying it fits a bit smaller, I think that will work out. I don't want it to be oversized. I kind of want it to have a more fitted look to it. So yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Just going to knit my regular size that I normally knit. And yeah, the Moby sweaters worked from the top down in a texture and cable pattern. And I actually don't think there's a ton of cabling, like actual cabling in this sweater other than this big thick cable that runs down there. There's moss stitch or seed stitch for the texture here. This might be just different knits and purls to make that texture. So I think there's not a ton of cabling in that. I think I should probably wait until the Radmere is finished though before I cast this one on. So I've been thinking of something else that would be a little bit, a little bit easier to knit, which is the zipper jacket by Petite Knit. I've been wanting to knit this one for a while. I'll put a picture up here of what it looks like. And yeah, I really like this oversized look of the sweater with a really deep V. With the zipper. I think that would be interesting to put the zipper into a sweater. I've never done that before, and I say interesting and not fun because I'm not really sure if it's going to be fun or not. I think a lot of people don't like doing that part, installing a zipper, so we'll see, but I think it'll be a learning experience. I think it will be interesting to do, and I think I will be using the Sandnes Garn Peer Gynt again, and I've chosen the color 1088 Coal Heather. I'm going to hold that together with Sandnes Garn Tin Silk Mohair in the color 1099, which is just black. So it'll sort of be like a charcoal yarn with the black mohair. I think that might give it some like dimension, and because the charcoal is like a heathered look, I think that would look really cool with the black mohair. And yeah, I'm really excited to do this. I'm going to knit it with the intended ease, which I believe is about 13 3/4 inches of ease. So it will be very oversized kind of fit. And I think that will look really cool with some leggings or some black jeans or something in my boots. I think that will look cool. I've been like last year, I really took a deep dive into like seasonal color palettes and everything, and I've kind of decided that I am a soft summer, and so black is not in my color palette, but I don't care. Like I really just want to, you don't have to knit with things that are flattering on you or whatever. You can knit things that you like the look of as well. I like both sides. I like to look into what colors I think would suit me, but I also really like black. I wear it a lot. So yeah, I'm going to knit this one. This will be the first sweater I think that I have ever made in black or a dark color like that. So I'm excited for that. All right, so that's all of the knitting content that I have to talk to you about today. Now I wanted to share with you some of my favorite books from this past year. So if you're interested in that, then please stick around. So my first favorite book was The Last One, and this is a book by Will Dean. And I'll put a picture up of the cover of the book because I did purchase this one, but I lent it to a friend and then she lent it to a friend, so I don't have the actual book anymore. But yeah, it was a great book, and I'm not going to go into the storylines for all of these books. I think if you're interested in them, then you can check that out yourself. But I'm not the best at giving an overview of what a book is about. But it is a mystery novel, And yeah, I really loved it. I flew through that book. I read it so quickly, and my friend did as well. She read it on vacation, and she was like, I read it in a couple of days. It was so good. So yeah, that was my first favorite. My second favorite book was called The Wolf and the Watchman. And this is by a Swedish author named Niklas Natt Och Dag. I probably said that wrong, but anyways, this book in the Swedish version is called 1793, and it's the first in what I think is a 3-book series, and they're 1793, 94, 95. But the English version is called The Wolf and the Watchman. And I will give you a big warning here right now that this book, it's a historical fiction crime novel. But it is extremely gruesome at parts. So I will give you that warning right now that if that's not your thing, don't look into this book, because there is a lot of like hard subject matter in this book. But I found it was very well written. The story is captivating and it is really cool in the way that it's written, because you find out about a murder at the beginning, and then the story goes backwards to solve like what happened there, which was really interesting. It's quite a long book. I don't remember how many pages, but I listened to the audiobook. So yeah, I think sometimes when there's such big long books, I'll listen to the audiobook and I'll sort of speed it up a little bit. But anyway, I'll be honest, I started this book at the beginning of last year, like in the springtime. And it's very like a lot of stuff happens at the beginning. And I said to my husband, like, it's really good, but it's really hard to read or listen to. So I decided that I would stop. And so I returned the audiobook to the library and I didn't finish it. And then I just started to think about it again. One of these podcasters that I watch, I'll link her down below. Her name's Cecilia, and I can't remember her last name. That's her channel name. But she has a great podcast she lives in Svalbard, which is like one of the northernmost places, like close to the North Pole. And she just talks about her life. She's a photographer and, video, does videos and everything, and really beautiful videos about living on Svalbard. So anyway, if you haven't watched her before, and if you're interested in that, nothing to do with knitting at all, but I'll link her down below. Anyway, she reads a lot, and she was talking about these books, and she, I think, has like all of them in the series. And so I decided I'm gonna check it out again. So I took the book out from the library again, and I listened to it, and it's a really, really great story, actually, very well written, but with the what do you say, like the warning that it is quite quite hard subject matter. Okay, and then my last favorite book was The Tea Rose by Jennifer Donnelly, and this is a historical fiction romance sort of book that takes place in the Victorian times, and it spans like her entire lifetime, the main character. And so this is a very long book too. I think it's about 500 pages, and I listened to this one as an audiobook as well. But I really enjoyed this book. Like, it is not totally factual or anything like that. There's a lot of things that are sort of far-fetched in it, I guess you would say, but definitely kept my interest. I really cared about the characters, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. So because of that, because I like that one, I decided to pick up the second one in the series. So this is called The Winter Rose. And my husband always gives me a gift card for our bookstore here. So this is one of the books that I picked up. And yeah, it's huge as well. But I'm really, really looking forward to reading this one. And then while I was in the bookstore, I was talking to one of the women that works there, because it's my bookstore here is so good, because you can go in there and they say, like, what kind of books are you into? And you tell them, oh, I just really liked like the Winter Rose or whatever, then they'll tell you, oh, you'll really like this one. They're really good at recommending books. It's like they've read every single book in there, it seems like. So anyway, I went in and I said, this year I really want to try reading fantasy. I want to try a fantasy novel. And so she immediately picked this book off the shelf, which is The Fourth Wing, or just Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. So when she was showing me this book, there was another woman in the bookstore and she was like, oh, I just finished that. And her boyfriend was there and he goes, oh, she read that book in like 2 days. I couldn't believe it. And it's not like a short book or anything, but she was like, I flew through it. And she was there actually picking up the second book. And I believe the third book is coming out this month, if it hasn't come out already. But anyway, yeah, so then, and then the owner was there when I was paying for it, and she goes, oh my gosh, that's the best book. My mother-in-law read it, and she's 80 years old, and then I bought it for my daughter, who's 20, and then I read it, and she's like, we all loved it. So, and then apparently this book is about, what does it say? It's like a war college for dragon riders. And so the owner of the bookshop was like, and who doesn't love books about dragons? And I was kind of like, well, kind of like thinking in my head, maybe me. It's like normally I read like mystery and stuff like that. Never fantasy. So, but I'm going to give it a try because a lot of people have recommended this book. I kind of made the mistake of going on Goodreads and looking at the reviews of it, which I'm trying not to do anymore because, of course, there's going to be good reviews and bad reviews for any book because everyone has, their own likes and dislikes. And I'd like to make up my own mind about how I feel about a book. I don't want to be influenced by people, really. But I had done it already, and yeah, I did see mixed reviews about it, but I decided to get it. I think the cover is beautiful. I think, like, look at this. Dragons on the pages, really cool. And then I also picked up a new bookmark because I am one of these people that thinks it's important to match my bookmark with my book. I don't know. I don't know if you like that, but I thought this little tassel like went really well with this book. So yeah, I'm excited to start this one as soon as I finish my current one, which is The Secret History by Donna Tartt. And I have had this book on my bookshelf for like, I think a year now, and I still haven't picked it up. And I think the reason why I haven't picked it up yet is because there is another book that came out last year or the year before, I think. I can't remember the name of it, but I'll put it up on the screen here. I can't remember. Anyway, that people say is similar to this one. And this is like the genre dark academia. And so that book is kind of the same genre as this one, apparently. And I did read that one, and I wasn't really a fan of that book. And so I think that I kind of thought, well, if I didn't like that one, I might not like this one. So I just kept putting it off and didn't read it. And yeah, the other one was a lot about, well, this one takes place in a college with this group of students who are studying Greek. And in the other novel, it's about same sort of thing, group of students in a college, but they're studying Shakespeare. And there was so much Shakespeare in that book that I just felt like I don't want to read Shakespeare. I want to read this novel, but it was so much put into that book that it wasn't for me. I mean, if you like that sort of thing, you would love that book, but it wasn't really for me. I'm loving this book, though. This book is great. I'm about, I think, 20 pages from the end. I'm probably going to finish it today. But I've been really loving this. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the storyline or anything. If you want to check it out, if you haven't read it already, maybe you'll like it too. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. So I've got to finish this, and then I'm going to start on the Fourth Wing. So that's very exciting. And well, I think that is everything that I have to share with you today. I'm pretty sure that I'm going to make what I knit in 2024 video. I'm thinking about it for my next video. But I don't know, are you guys into hearing about all the things that I knit in last year. I kind of like feel like for myself, I don't really love these videos because, you know, if it's a podcaster that I watch all the time, then I've already seen all of those projects. So it's kind of going over it again. It's a little boring for me. But, and then, you know, if it's a new podcaster, I like to go back and look at all the past episodes. So if I watch this one video, I've seen everything now. So what's the point in going back and watching all of them? But that's how I look at it. But if you're interested in that sort of thing, let me know. And also, you know, if you are, then let me know what kinds of things you want me to talk about the projects. Yeah. And then the next video after that, I have just recently purchased a whole bunch of sewing patterns because the website that I purchased a lot of patterns from, like the big name patterns, you know, like Berta and Vogue and New Look, Simplicity, all of those ones, it was having, I think they probably still are having this sale. So I'll link that website down below if you're interested. But I got a whole bunch of patterns for like $2. Like, I don't think anything was over $5. And these are like paper patterns. So I scooped up a whole bunch of those, and I'm really excited to like share those with you and then talk about some of my sewing plans for 2025. So that will be on another video. And yeah, so anyway, thank you so much for being here, for watching. If you haven't already, and only if you want to, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you enjoyed this video, it'd be awesome if you gave it a thumbs up. And yeah, thanks again. Until next time, happy crafting, everyone. Bye.